Hi, I'm Dr. McFarlane. This is going to be a brief video just to go over the details of the English 344 Business and Professional Writing First Assignment, Googlebomb assignment. You want to make sure that this is worth 100 points, and it is all the details are in Blackboard, but this is just that extra push if you need it. So what do? You want to use the assignment in Blackboard as your checklist. You want to read Writing That Works, chapters 1, 2, 7, and 10. 1 is based on how to define and assess your audience. Chapter 2 is about organizing information, whether it's sequential or spatial or descending order or increased order of importance. And then chapter 7 is on document design and using headings, access topography and space. Also there's something in Browse, cool stuff and guides and resources in Blackboard on hats, which is a link to the OWL Purdue website on how to best design your document for the best possible product. Yeah, so then you want to write the 5-page single-space informal memo report and really focus in on chapter 10, writing informal reports, and pay attention to the fact that all these memos are going to be single-space documents that use active space in very specific ways. Specifically, if you look at page 361 and 362 in Writing That Works, you'll notice that since you are writing a multiple-page memo, that your second and third pages and fourth and fifth pages should have your name and the page number at the top. For instance, if I were to, as your project manager, so to speak, have to print out several memos, maybe 15 memos at one time, and then I drop the stack of papers, I won't know whose page is 2 or who is 3, or whose is 4 is whose. So it's important that you make sure that you design your document according to the details throughout chapter 10, but really for your own purposes, okay? The steps are to make sure that you search yourself online for at least 5 hours, bookmark, take notes, capture screenshots, select them accordingly. You want to make sure you look at the OWL Purdue guide on Boolean operators, and at the bottom of the sheet there's a diagram on that. And then you want to write your research report in a memo style following the ISRAP method, which I call the ISRAP methods: introduction, search, results, analysis, and plan. Okay? In your intro, you want to have that brief discussion of your major and your professional aspirations. In other words, who are you? I don't know you yet, and especially if you're new to this class, which you are, and if you're an online student, I don't know what your majors are, what your long-term goals are in terms of what your aspirations are, what your hobbies are, and how your hobbies might connect to your long-term professional and business plans. I need to know those things. But that should be also the shortest part of your memo. No more than 7 pages. Seven sentences. It shouldn't be the longest part of your memo, but it's just a brief intro. You don't have to tell me your name, because obviously your name is going to be in the heading of your memo, like where it says to Dr. Nicole McFarlane, from whatever your name is, date, and then the subject, memo report, Googlebomb. So your search should be about a detailed explanation of how you research your process and all the methods you use. Now, that is really going to be about whether or not you type in with the variations of your name you typed in, whether you use your full name with or without your middle initial, whether or not you used your maiden name. Maybe your name is commonly misspelled, or you use a nickname. You need to tell me about that. And then you want to hone in on the one that, the names, the variations of, or variation of your name that got the most hits, right? And there is where you will find results. This is your third subheading in your memo. And it should be how you got information and what you found. It should include reasonably sized and arranged screenshots of the relevant images you came across, and discussion that lists and describes content, especially those that appear repeatedly, even if it's wrong, or if you have no information or very little information about yourself, or mistaken identity. Maybe and any problems or surprises you came across. That's where you would tell me that. So in other words, results is about what did I find. Now, if you don't have that much information about yourself or you have a mistaken identity, that's too is very important. which means in some ways you're actually going to write a longer analysis and plan section. And you get fodder for how to write your analysis in your plan section by going to the looking for a job, why you need to go social link in Blackboard, which is the AARP article, as well as the online reputation management for graduates website. And so in other words, you generate material for your plan and your analysis by understanding what's at stake by going to those articles. Because whether you're in the beginning of your career or your second or third career or you're rebooting your career, 92% of everyone who is in a hiring position, they first, before they decide to bring you in for a face-to-face interview, 92% of them will Google you first. So we know that it's important to have some content out there. And even if you don't, and you want to keep privacy, you want to consider deleting information, those are the kinds of things you need to tell me about in your analysis and your plan, right? Especially in your plan. And you need to propose an upbeat, productive solution or course of action for inventing, refashioning, revamping, and or correcting your web presence. And that's what's significant about that, because even if you want to maintain privacy and you don't want to be some big online social media guru, you may want to consider the fact that you actually can have and can maintain more control and command over your identity online if you do have a digital dossier or space that highlights and houses all the information that pertains only to you. It would be almost like taking traffic and rerouting and constantly directing online traffic directly to your house at the end of that cul-de-sac that you live in, and so that it doesn't go all over the place and you control exactly the route people take to get there. So it's really important to think about that, even in terms of making the digital dossier, even in terms of maintaining your privacy or promoting your privacy, how you're going to use LinkedIn, etc. Whether or not you use Facebook, etc. Speaking of Facebook, we do have a Facebook group for this class, both sections, and there's also students who have been invited who have done really well in previous sections of the English 344 course that have been invited into this closed Facebook group where you can ask for advice or word of encouragement about how to complete this assignment. And it's the Facebook group. You can establish a LinkedIn and you can ask me questions. And of course, all my contact information is available to you on the syllabus and on Blackboard. Okay, so make sure you turn in those 5-page single-spaced documents following Chapter 10 and 7 and 2 and 1. So have a good one. I'm looking forward to finding out more about each and every one of you and finding out, how are you going to Google bomb yourself. Bye.